Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Rest Clinic, a live rest practice for Black women ready to slow down. I just want to ask, as people are joining, how everyone is coming into the space, right? If anyone else is tired, exhausted, there's a lot of things going on at the moment, trying to intentionally take our energy to make us feel drained, right? To really impact all of these physical elements that we see when we don't feel safe enough to rest. And so, if that is the case for you, let me know if you are joining, if you're watching the replay. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Marissa Price. I am a trauma informed healing practitioner and facilitator. And I create safe spaces for us to process the trauma that we're living through collectively, to invite in things like rest, right? Stillness, help us regulate our nervous systems, slow down. So often within these spaces, we don't have time, right, to rest, to reflect, to come into our parasympathetic nervous system, right, which is a state our nervous system is in when we were calm, when we're relaxed, and we're able to process deep thoughts. And so that is the purpose of my work. Thank you all so much for being here for this special session. This is like an experimental session that I just had an idea for yesterday, because we talk so often about rest. And thank you to Glamazini, aka Roshini, right, who has been speaking a lot about this. We speak so often about how to do these things, how to rest, but the process of actually doing it can feel difficult. And so that's the purpose of today. So yes, thank you all for joining. Hello, hello. Hello, welcome to the space. Jan, hello everyone. Yes, hello. Thank you so much for joining. Right, and so I'm so honored that you're here. And I do have my blanket, so please feel free to grab anything that makes you feel comfortable. We're going to do some rest practices today, right? So aside from talking through, which is important, right, why it may be difficult to rest, why it feels like your nervous system can't really slow down. Again, when we're in these environments, we have been socialized, not just individually, but through our families, through generations, that rest is off limits to us. It's going to feel a little uncomfortable. It's going to feel a little bit awkward, right, when you start incorporating these practices into your routine. But as you move through them, part of regulation and resting is repetition. So it's just doing it over time, just giving yourself grace, compassion, if it feels uncomfortable, knowing you can return to it, and it doesn't have to be this big thing as we're taught it has to be. So yes, this is the Rest Clinic. So let me put up my banners that I created. There. Yes. So again, this is experimental, just going live, talking about rest, practicing rest in real time. Please feel free to grab anything that makes you feel comfortable. I'm on my yoga mat with pillows, with a blanket, right? And so anything that makes you feel at peace, kind of calms down your nervous system. Sensory things. So if smells are important to you, if textures are important to you, feel free to grab those things as we move into practice. Right. So I'm so glad that you're arriving in your full humanity into this sacred space of rest. And I do have to give a huge shout out to Tricia Hersey, of the NAP ministry, who has opened so many of our eyes, right, to the fact that rest is for us, right? That we are supposed to rest. We're supposed to have time to rest. We're supposed to have space to slow down. And so, yes, I have to shout out the NAP ministry created by Tricia Hersey, her book, Rest is Resistance, and her newest book, The Art of Escape, is so powerful. Both of them are so powerful. So I had to shout out the NAP ministry. Okay. Right. So many of us may have believed, right, have been taught to believe that rest is a reward, something we can only earn after proving our worth, right, which can be absolutely exhausting and draining, especially in this environment that we're in, right? But as people like Tricia Hersey remind us through her work, rest is not a luxury. Rest is our birthright. Rest is resistance. right? And so this is also inspired by Alecia, Renece, the artist, Stephanie Perry, Rushdi Cope, aka Glamazini on YouTube, Kat McDonald, who has hosted live rest sessions on her channel, Rebloom Room, Octavia, Raheem, Dr. Brittany Connors, Rashidat, right, and Jameelah of, I have her channel linked in the description as well. But yes, countless other Black women visionaries who are helping us to reawaken our inherent right to rest. And so we're going to practice, right? If it feels comfortable, if you're here live, you can let us know how you're entering the space. This is usually how I start off my healing circles. So just one word, right? How you're entering. Maybe you've had a stressful day, a stressful week, a stressful year. It's been a lot. And so if anything feels comfortable to share, even if you're watching live or on the replay, please feel free to share. We're going to practice resting, right? And knowing that there's nothing to achieve, there's no need to perform. As I said, I have my blanket, right? And so anything that feels comfortable to you, please feel free to grab. We can just be in our breath, in our body, in the fact that we are inherently worthy and we deserve rest, right? It's our birthright. And so let me get to the chat. Hello, thank you for joining. Anissa, thank you so much for being here. Right, and so there's no need to overthink. Again, there's no need to perform. Maybe you're coming to this space feeling tired, maybe curious about creating your own rest practice. Maybe you're just here, right? And that's good enough. Whatever you're bringing to the space, however you're entering, know that that's okay, right? There's absolutely no judgment, and we welcome you here. And so just take a deep breath here, inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling again, exhaling. And notice how you feel. When we are in these stressful situations, when we're in environments where we have to shrink, perform, I talk a lot about my own experience in a toxic workplace, which was deeply traumatic, right? And I'm still healing from that through breathing, through rest practices, through a whole bunch of different things. But part of that has been slowing down to process, right, what I experienced. And that's the purpose of this space. We don't often have enough moments to just sit, reflect, be in comfortable settings, right, with textures that feel good, with smells that activate our senses. And so that's the purpose of this space, the Rest Clinic. Anissa says, holding stress in my back at the moment. Thank you for sharing this. Yes, yes. And begin to identify, thank you for that, the places where you feel tension, right? So often we carry tension throughout the day. And if we don't have an intentional practice to stop and kind of observe our bodies, where are we carrying tension? Like, is there a place that feels tight that we can bring movement, right? Even like our touch can be helpful when it comes to the places we're carrying tension. And so just like begin by becoming aware of your body sensations, what you're bringing into the space, right? The places where it feels tense, where you notice yourself holding stress, right? Either throughout the day, throughout the week, and just allow that to gently release as you grab the things that make you feel comfortable. Okay, we're going to get into a grounding practice, right? And so again, this is part of the flow that I do both in the healing circles that I facilitate. I just facilitated one this Sunday, Finding Calm in Chaos, and my group healing program. And I have a new one coming up that I'm excited that I'll share more about starting Sunday, November 9th. If you'd like to join us to develop a rest practice that centers your humanity, right? That is very liberatory in practice, that reminds us that rest has always been our birthright and that we have to slow down right? To do things like activate our full thought, our full ability to process deep information, to see the way forward when it feels like there's not one, right? And thank you to Octavia, Raheem for hosting an incredible rest session during this past Exodus Summit. Um, it was beautiful, right? And she reminded us that by slowing down, we activate the parts of our bodies and our brain that allows us to chart that path forward, right? And a lot of people don't want us to do that. A lot of people want us to stay in survival mode. So anytime that you can take a deep breath, ground yourself in the present moment, remind yourself that you're safe, and slow down, you are activating your full right body's capacity to envision and chart that way forward, right? It's real. So let's arrive to the present moment, right? As we do this grounding practice. Grounding together, not just in our minds, but in our bodies. Allow your eyes to soften or close if that feels safe. Again, this entire practice is trauma informed, and please go at the pace of your body. And if it feels comfortable, try it. If it's not your thing, release it, right? There's absolutely no pressure. Feel your body connecting to what's supporting you. It could be the chair, if you're sitting in a chair. It could be the floor. I'm on the floor right now. I'm on a pillow and my yoga mat. It could be your bed if you're laying down. Notice the pull of gravity. That quiet reminder that tells us, as we move through life, you don't have to hold everything up right now. Right? If we think about the force of gravity, literally assisting us, right? Making it possible for us to stay in place. And just to notice the different elements that are existing, right? To help us feel grounded and in place when everything feels like it is chaotic, right? That you can't ground yourself in anything. Come back to self and remind yourself of the forces that are always supporting you. Begin to inhale slowly through your nose. And exhale softly through your mouth, sighing if you need to. Inhaling again through your nose. Exhaling, sighing if you need to. With each exhale that you take, imagine your weight dropping to the ground, the full weight of your body on whatever surface you're on. Inhaling here. Exhaling. Allow the surface that you're on, the floor, the chair, the bed, to support you as you release what you've been carrying. Inhaling here. Exhaling. And notice how this feels. So part of resting as you're entering into it or creating your own practice is just becoming aware of how your body is feeling, of the signals that your body is trying to send you, right? So often as an overachiever, I was taught to push through any body signal that told me to slow down, that told me to stop, that told me you could take a break, right? I felt like I had to push through that. And so many of us receive that same messaging, right? While our bodies are trying to tell us, because they're here to preserve our lives, that you need to slow down, right? Before it gets to the crisis point. before we collapse, before we can't go any further. Part of developing a rest practice is becoming attuned to your body once again, right? And the different signals it's trying to send us throughout the day, right? That we've been taught to ignore, we've been taught to push through. And so in this practice, as we're grounding, just bring your awareness to your body without judgment. What are you feeling? Where are you feeling it? Right? And how can you invite in breath or movement or just awareness, that counts too, to those places that you notice? If it feels okay, you might even place a hand over your heart and a hand on your belly to ground yourself in this present moment, right? Sometimes it's helpful to just put your hands on the place where you feel tension, in the place where you feel, I need some movement, right? I need to bring awareness or attention to this part of my body that I've been trying to ignore or push through. So an easy first step, right, could just be to place your hand there. Just place your hand there. Just awareness without judgment, right? Feeling your own body's rhythm. Starting from your feet as we're grounding, right? Moving up to your calves, just noticing, just becoming aware. Up to your legs. How do your legs feel? Right? Your belly, your chest, your shoulders, your neck, your face, your head. And then going the opposite way, starting at your head, to your face, right? To your neck, to your shoulders, to your chest, to your belly, to your legs, right? Lower legs, calves, ankles, and feet. Just bringing your awareness to your body as a rest practice, right? Because we can allow our bodies to rest, right? We're tapping into our inherent worth outside of the things we do for other people, outside of the pressure to perform, to constantly excel and succeed, right? Which, as an overachiever, I'm still in the process of releasing. It's a practice over time, and rest can be really essential at that. So you might even imagine, as you reawaken your imagination, right, roots extending from your feet or your seat if you're sitting down, your spine if you're laying down. Imagine those roots extending deep into the earth. What does that feel like? What does that look like? Right? Knowing these roots we hold inside of us, they're connected to so many things, right? So many memories, so many legacies, right? So many generational things that have been passed down, right? Good and bad, messages that we've received, right? And knowing that we're rooted in the earth, right? In our lineages, as we practice rest, right? As a form of resistance, of reclamation, of reclaiming our inherent humanity outside of the need to perform for other people, right? To seek validation and approval. We're here, right? So that means we're worthy. And so we can allow ourselves to rest. And I want to check in in the chat if you're resting. No worries, no need to respond. If you're watching the replay, I would love to know in the comments how that felt, right? The grounding practice. Just noticing, just becoming aware of our bodies, rooting ourselves into the earth, reminding ourselves of all the incredible, right, gifts that we possess, of the generational messages that we have received around rest. And so this is much deeper than just the physical act of rest, although that's important too, right? I talk a lot about somatic healing, which is just healing of the body, and how the body has often been overlooked in Western healing spaces, right? And so to know that we carry so much, we carry trauma, yes, but we also carry memories in our bodies, right? We carry the memory of how to rest. And that often requires us to slow down, to tap back in, right, to the message that's trying to be sent to us so we can receive it. And so let's move into another practice. Releasing the armor. And so again, if you have things, if you're just joining, things that make you feel comfortable, I am on my yoga mat, on a pillow, with a blanket. Okay, so anything that makes you feel good, safe, comforted, please grab that. And we will get started in this next practice. So releasing the armor, right? Again, allowing our bodies to soften, to relax, right? Again, this can be a practice over time of just maybe even saying out loud, you're safe. You're safe to slow down. You're safe to release. You're safe to take the pressure off of yourself, right? In this moment, you don't have to look, right, an hour forward, a day forward, just in this moment. You're safe to rest, to soften. And it's going to be a practice over time until it feels like second nature. But we carry so much tension, right, in our bodies, in our jaws, our shoulders, our bellies, our hips, our backs, as someone mentioned, right? But knowing that this tension is our body's way of saying, I've had to stay ready for potential impact. I've had to brace for survival day after day after day, right? And this is our body's way of protecting us, right? And so there's nothing wrong with our bodies. We're operating within spaces, within environments, within systems, right, that don't allow us this space to slow down. And that's wrong, right? To sit, to reflect. And so we have to carve out space for ourselves that will not be given to us, right? And still we can carve it out for ourselves. We can take moments to rest, to remind ourselves that we're safe, right? To activate all the amazing parts of our bodies, to tap back into the signals. And so it's important to remind our bodies, right, that it's okay to let go. It's okay to let go. And again, part of a rest practice is having things around you that make you feel comfortable, right? So soft textures can be helpful. Scents that make you feel relaxed can be helpful. There's so many different ways, right, to tap into the power of our senses to make us feel that level of safety, that it's okay. It's okay to soften. So starting with our jaw, right, unclenching. I know that I tend to hold a lot of tension in my jaw. So wherever you are, right, unclenching your jaw, opening it and closing it gently. Maybe letting out a small yawn if you're tired, if you're getting ready for bed. Rolling your shoulders slowly forward and then back if it feels good. Again, all these practices, if it doesn't feel good, please don't do it. right? Try something else. A lot of the times our bodies are inviting us into different types of movements, right? And we've been told that it has to look a certain way, so we don't do that. And so I invite you, if your body is calling for a certain type of movement, do that, right? Play a little bit, have fun with it. If you want this to feel good, right? That's the first and foremost of a rest practice, of a wellness practice. You want it to feel good. And so feel what it's like to take up space without apology, right? As you roll your shoulders. Again, in these environments that we're in, we have to shrink so often, even physically. We have to change our posture, right, as a survival response, appear a different way, right? And so when you get into the spaces where you can take the armor off and be your full self, can you allow yourself to do that? It's a practice over time, right? Not saying that any of this is overnight. It's a practice that you're implementing to come back into your authenticity, your power, right? Your imagination. All of these things reawaken when you give yourself that space to relax, to release. And so taking an inhale here for 4 counts, holding for 2, and then exhaling for 6. And so if breath work is something that feels good to you, right, a tip can be to make your exhales a longer count than your inhales. And this gives a signal to your body, right, that I can slow down, that it's safe for me to relax, to come back into the parasympathetic part of my nervous system, right, that tells me it's okay for me to release the armor that I've been carrying throughout the day, to let go of the survival mode, right? That's what happens when you allow yourself to breathe. These relatively simple practices, right, are signals to your body. It's okay, right? I can relax. I can be myself. I can drop the mask. I can drop the armor, right? In this moment, that's the only moment I'm worried about. Feel your shoulders drop on the exhale. We'll do it again. Inhaling for 4, holding for 2, and then exhaling for 6. And just drop your shoulders on the exhale. Invite in some movement, maybe even shaking out your hands. Letting them release what you have been holding throughout the day can be helpful. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate this. Hey, Yoga Bliss Dance. Yes, please check out Yoga Bliss Dance on YouTube as well. I do love your voice. It's quite soothing. Thank you. I'll be busy for the next month, but hopefully we'll arrange a collab at some point after. You have my email. Yes, I do. Yes. And I'm taking a break from collaborations, but yes, I do. I have you on my list. So thank you so much for the reminder. Okay. So just feeling your shoulders drop, right? Shaking out any place where you may have been carrying tension. If it feels supportive, right? Shaking, allow other places of your body to kind of shake, right? Just to release the tension that you may have been carrying. Any place that feels good, where maybe you need some movement, right? Again, we have to brace for impact, the physical impacts of being in environments where we have to brace, where we have to shield ourselves, right? That's physical too. And so, again, part of healing, if the impact is physical, we have to come to the body to heal as well, not just the mind. Right? And so, I'm actually going to put on some music. Let me see if I can share this real quick. Just allowing yourself to release. And so, yes, I hope that that was relaxing, right? We're going to move into a couple other practices, rest practices, and then end with stillness, right? End with calmness, coming back home to ourselves. Hello, Marissa. Thank you for joining. Always good to see you here. Yes. And so to know what we just walked through, right? Putting on some music that feels relaxing. Music plays a huge role in helping to regulate our nervous systems and helping us calm down, feel rooted, feel that sense of calm internally, that you can put that on, right? It's just a video on YouTube, anything that feels good, that sounds good, just placing it on and just taking a couple minutes to rest, to invite in movement, to ground yourself. That's your rest practice, right? And so it doesn't have to be this big thing that looks like anything. Again, releasing performance, releasing the need to show up any type of way, and just allow yourself to be. That's really the purpose of all of these practices. Okay. And I do want to mention that I will be facilitating a 5-week journey if you are interested in learning how to rest, right? So telling your body, um, giving your body the signals, right? That it's safe to slow down, that it's safe to come back home to yourself, right? To establish boundaries, which is something that we will be talking about in a way that feels good to our bodies. Please join us, right? Rested and Restored starts Sunday, November 9th, and registration is now open at this link, tinyurl.com/rested-30. It is 30% off this week, ending Sunday, November 2nd. And so please join us for this journey. This is my third group healing program at this point. And so we have been through Silencing Your Inner Critic, which was my first program this year, Regulate to Reclaim, really going into depth about nervous system regulation. And then this, right, Rested and Restored. Once we learn the basic tools to regulate, to feel grounded, how do we maintain this practice for a lifetime, really, because that's what it is, to feel this level of feeling rested, feeling safe enough to rest, and then ultimately feeling restored, right? By establishing these things that we need to do in our lives, right? Guarding our energy, right? Viewing our energy as sacred, and then practicing, right? How do you set boundaries? How do you begin to feel safe to rest if this has never been modeled to you? That's what we'll be walking through in this 5-week journey starting Sunday, November 9th. Rested and Restored, and registration is now open. Okay, and so moving to another rest practice. Sway, flow, and regulate. Hello, Alecia. Always good to see you here. Yes, please subscribe. As I mentioned, Alecia at the top, right? So many great rest practices, music for nervous system regulation. So yes, please check out her channel, Alecia Renece, the artist. Okay. And so this is Sway, Flow, and Regulate. Let me get Did I create it? I didn't create a banner for it. That's okay. I'm going to flow with it. Okay. So when we feel like we're in survival mode, which we often are, so it's not just a feeling, right? And I want to say that too, because sometimes in wellness spaces, it can be a little gaslighty, right? That we're just feeling like we're in survival mode, that we're feeling like we're in danger. No, we're actually in danger in a lot of these environments that we're in, especially as Black women, right? And so our nervous system can forget what the rhythm of ease, of slowness, right, of relaxation feels like. And it can feel scary to even enter into. And so we can introduce something like gentle motion, right, through swaying, flowing, to remind ourselves that we're safe. If you think about babies, toddlers, right, a lot of the images that we see, if we're around younger people, they know these tools of self-regulation, right, of rocking, right, of inviting in movement through the process of socialization, right? We often forget some of these things. And so it can feel kind of uncomfortable or awkward to enter back into them, but know that it's a practice over time. right? You're coming back into the things that you probably once knew how to do, right? And so just begin by rocking gently side to side and notice how this feels. If you're laying down, you can kind of sway, right? Side to side, just inviting in gentle movement. No need for it to be harsh, for it to look any type of way. Just allowing yourself to move in a way that feels good to you. Then letting your breath move as you sway. Maybe inhaling one way, exhaling the other. Notice how this feels. You might move your spine if you're laying down in a slow wave, right? So again, when we have to be so rigid, tense, bracing for impact, right? This is a survival response in these environments that we're in. Coming back into movement can feel impossible to do. But to know that if you start to incorporate some of these things as a practice over time, it will start to feel more, oh, I can do this. I can move, right? That place that I've been feeling tension, I can move. I can place my hand, right, on that place to feel the warmth. And I don't just have to push through. If we think about all the messages that we receive, right, throughout our lifetimes, that the body it's an inconvenience sometimes, right, that we have to push through, that we have to override these signals that it's trying to send to us. And to understand, like, is that true, right, to ask ourselves, can I instead invite breath, movement to this place of my body, right, gentle swaying, knowing that you don't have to move perfectly, just whatever feels good to you. Right? You might allow your head to move a little bit. Other parts of your body, maybe your legs. And to know that if emotion comes up during this rest practice, during gentle movement, right, that's okay. That's normal. Sometimes when we've been holding so many emotions, right, and feeling very rigid, when we do start to release, it can bring up emotions that we have suppressed. And so just allowing space for that as well. Sometimes rest can feel foreign, right? It can feel awkward. It can feel, how do I do this? Logically, I know that I need to rest, but I don't feel safe to do it. Because I have been taught, I have been socialized, right, to push through, that is my safety. And so we're really unlearning these deep, deep messages over generations that have been taught to us by reclaiming our bodies for ourselves. And so taking a slow breath, right? Inhaling, exhaling. Knowing that this is your rebellion. This is your resistance. By resting, by reclaiming your body for yourself, by carving out space for yourself to feel safe within systems where we encounter so many unsafe moments, encounters, people, right? It's becoming a safe place for yourself that you can return to anytime you need to. And so just pausing here, feeling your heartbeat, feeling the places in your body where you invited in movement, right? Maybe swaying, maybe flowing. How does it feel? Right? Just a question to think about. How does it feel to slow down? When we have been taught, right, that our worth exists if we keep pushing through. And how is this resistance to those messages when we instead incorporate a practice of rest over time and allow our bodies to feel safe in feeling calm? And so as we move into stillness and rest integration, hey Erica, thank you for joining. Good to see you here as always. Thank you so much. Right, so let's rest in the space that we have just carved out for ourselves during this practice. It's been a little over 45 minutes. And so how does it feel now versus when we first started? It may have felt impossible, right? You may have entered this space like, I don't even know how to rest. Everything is so chaotic externally. Do I even have space for myself to slow down, to invite in calm, right? And I think that we have proven together that that answer is yes. Through the things that we went through, right? Grounding, putting on music that feels good, gentle movement. All of these things are rest practices. And so another rest practice can be stillness, right? Resting in the space that you have now carved out for yourself that other people may say is impossible, right? We receive so many messages. We just have to push through. We just prove that wrong in this space today. This is what our bodies remembering what safety feels like. That's what we're modeling. And so allow your body to settle into stillness wherever you are. Again, if you have textures that make you feel comfortable, a blanket, if you're laying down, allow your body to just settle. Feel the surface beneath you. It's solid. It's supportive. It's not going anywhere. If thoughts come, just allow them to drift, right? Just like the clouds. You can envision them actually as clouds, right? Drifting through the sky. Know that you don't have to chase them. You don't have to bring in judgment, right? If you do have thoughts, that's part of it, right? Allow them to be. Whispering softly to yourself if it feels comfortable. I'm safe enough to rest. My body knows what calm feels like. And I don't have to brace for impact in this moment. So this sense of stillness, of ease, this is what liberation can feel like in our bodies, right? Liberating ourselves from within by carving out space for ourselves to rest, to move gently, to breathe, to honor our full humanity. This is liberation. And so I'm going to put on the music again, and we'll just take a few minutes to listen to that, to rest. We'll come back and kind of reflect on this practice. And so I'll do that right now. And I want to thank you again so much for being here if you are here live or if you're watching the replay. And so just checking in to ask, how did that feel? Hello. I love this username. Made a whole account just to say. Thank you so much for being here and thank you for these emojis. I appreciate it. Right. And so just some reflection questions. How does your body feel now compared to when we first started this practice? Do you feel lightness, right, where you may have felt tension when we started? Do you feel calm? Do you feel at ease? Do you feel some lingering thoughts, right? Because that's fine too. That's to be expected. Some emotions that may have popped up. If you feel comfortable, if you're here live, maybe just sharing one word for how you're feeling now. Right? I love that name. Yes. And so the word that is coming to me is peaceful, right? And also rooted. I think that visualization that we did around, right, the roots of your feet growing into the ground, into the earth, and to know that we descend from lineages, right? And we have all of these memories that we can reawaken now in the present day. Whereas we've been taught that rest is something that's not for us, right? That's just not true. So many of us come from legacies, ancestral, right? Lineages of folks who knew how to rest. And so beginning to interrogate some of these messages that we receive and really affirming to ourselves that no, rest is for us. Just like any other living thing, we have to rest for this journey to be sustainable for the long term. Settled. Oh, I love that. Yeah. Settled is resonating too. Yes. Peaceful, settled. Yes. Thank you for sharing that. And so I do want to mention once again, I will be facilitating Rested and Restored. If you are interested in continuing this journey, I'll probably be back live later this week. I might be pushing it next week to do something similar because I really like this, right? We talk a lot about rest, how to slow down, but actually practicing it with other people, right? Part of healing is co regulation. So seeing other people practicing what we want to be doing, seeing that, oh, I can do that. I can slow down, right? I can ground myself. I can listen to music. I can feel my feet on the earth. All of these are rest practices, right? And so that's the purpose of this group healing program. Again, this is the third group healing program that I'm doing this year. Rested and Restored, 5-week journey to help us regulate our nervous systems, establish embodied boundaries as we navigate the holiday season, right? And reclaiming rest as liberation. And so the link to register is here on the screen as well as in the description section. And so please join us. Starting Sunday, November 9th at 5 p.m. Eastern, there will be 5 live healing circles with a break on November 30th to give us space to rest, to integrate what we learned. And there will be a special guest facilitator that I'm really excited about. I'll be announcing soon on week 3. And you've seen a lot of our work together. So I'm excited to announce a special facilitator that will be joining us in this group program. So yeah, if you have any questions, there are a limited amount of scholarships available. So send me an email, hello@marissaprice.me for more information about that. And yes, I do have a closing. Okay, Michelle says rejuvenated. Thank you for sharing that. Ooh, I love that word, rejuvenated. Thank you. I'm so glad. Thank you. Yes. Okay, so closing in gratitude. If it feels comfortable, placing a hand over your heart, just feeling the rhythm of your heartbeat can be a grounding practice, a rest practice, right? Knowing that it's always beating, right? As long as we're here during this human experience, it's always beating. Taking a deep breath in, exhaling slowly through your mouth, sighing if you need to, taking another deep breath in, and releasing. Maybe even whispering to yourself, if you feel called to, I am rested, I am rooted, I am free. Right? And so this affirmation can be helpful to even repeat to yourself, right? I am rested, I am rooted, I am free. Rest is for me. And so thank you so much for joining us for this live rest clinic, which is an experimental thing that I had an idea to do yesterday. And so why not? I do want to say that I'm accepting facilitation requests. I am a certified facilitator as of this month. And so you can always reach out to me, hello@marissaprice.me, for trauma-informed facilitation for your organization or your group. Just send me an email, hello@marissaprice.me. And I appreciate y'all so much for being here, for participating, for sharing what you've shared in the chat. If you're watching the replay, thank you so much. Please comment if anything resonated, if you feel different after any of these practices, if you feel more grounded, more at ease. Again, taking what feels good, leaving what doesn't, right? Because this is your individual rest practice. And yeah, I think that's it for now. I appreciate y'all being here. Again, thank you so much to the NAP Ministry, Tricia Hersey, for the work that she has done in showing us, right, visually through her rest experiments, public, right, presentations and displays, that rest is for us, that it is possible, that we can slow down, and that it is our resistance against these forces that we're up against. And so, yeah, let me get to the chat. You're so welcome. Thank you for being here. And again, please check out Alicia's channel, Alecia Renece, for so many amazing rest practices as well, right? Meditative music, talking through why it may be difficult to rest, and just coming back into your sovereignty, right? And so thank you so much for being here as always. And I appreciate you all. I think I'm going to end it here, but until next time, bye, y'all. And feel free to replay this, listen to it, incorporate some of these rest practices. And if you'd like to join us again in Rested and Restored, which starts Sunday, November 9th, please join us at the link in the description, as well as here on the screen. And there are limited scholarships available, so just send me an email, hello@marissaprice.me. And yeah, appreciate you all. You're so welcome. You're so welcome. Yes. Until next time, y'all. Bye. Thank you.